Right? Yeah, okay. Big career, RFD TV, rodeo superstar announcer, and we are so lucky to have her here to be the MC tonight. I don't want to take away from all the recipients. We are so glad you're here, and I can't wait for you guys to hear their stories. And just, it's such a neat journey this has been, and we're so happy to get it recorded and posted. We got it online, and it's been a really good experience. I've loved it, and I really appreciate everyone making it out tonight, and all the efforts you've done. Not always patted on the back, but we realize it, we understand it, and we thank you for being here. And I'll turn it over to Amy.
Thank you, Brian. Also, a special thank you to the entire Winter family for all they do and for always making me feel so welcome. I'm so excited to be back here. I absolutely love cattle. My entire life, I've been around cattle. I grew up in the sale barn, helped my family with cattle. I always loved building my own cattle herd. And now my life looks a little bit different. I was just at an event in Cheyenne last week. I work for Equine Network now. So I cover a lot of their World Series events. It was huge, record-setting. They made over 10,000 team roping runs. That took 600 horned cattle, 100 muleys, and 45 breakaway calves. They had a breakaway there too. So a lot of cattle. I've watched a lot of team roping these days, and it's exciting to see that industry and just how it connects with this one. Also, stopped by the county fair in Colby, that's where I'm from, and watched my cousin win grand champion with his market steer. So that was really cool to get to see all of them. And then to come over here and I read all the bios, and I am so impressed. What an impact you all have had, and also just a wealth of knowledge in this room. So I'm really excited to hear from you all. Also back in Texas, where I live now, I have 3 Jersey cows that I actually kept from after they were breakaway calves. And the girl that I rope with, not so fondly, named all 3 of them after her least favorite 3 people or most annoying 3 people that she knows. So my cattle herd does not look anything like what I would have dreamed when I was a kid, but that's okay. I have a pretty amazing life, and I'm really excited to be here with you all tonight and to help celebrate these amazing people who are being inducted. I would like to take a moment and direct your attention as we start to the video screen.
Shouting, whips popping, paddles rattling, auctioneers chanting, spectators chattering, cattle mooing, and trucks moving. These are our sounds, sounds that we couldn't be more proud of, the noise that fills our everyday lives as cattle marketers. Each and every day, we bring together buyers from near and far to find the top bidder for our producers' cattle. This is no easy task. It takes countless moving parts to perform. Most people want nothing to do with this highly intense occupation, but a select few see it another way. A select few know what a load of cattle means to a family, and have been entrusted with that bloodline's livelihood. The trust and respect that each cattle marketer has earned from the seller is a statement to his character. The men being honored tonight have excelled in this industry and moved the bar of expectations to another level. Cattle Marketing Hall of Fame highlights the true leaders that have transformed how our way of life is carried out day after day with decades of service to the cattlemen of America. This is not a 9-to-5 job, nor one that could ever truly be measured with a time card. The stress, pressures, worries, and weight placed on you would and does scare away a large majority, and brings down many that try. There's no way to capture in words the countless helping hands you've extended, long days, short nights, or time away from family and friends that have led you to this elite class of cattlemen we can celebrate tonight. Cattle marketing is a small niche in this day and age, but it is our niche that we love and fight constantly to keep. We fight to keep for the next generation. Pass on what our parents and grandparents instilled in us. That true price discovery is a clean and honest way to showcase cattle and discover their real world value. Not just a number that you can find in the paper or online. Bringing together millions of head of livestock in your lifetime front of eager buyers, allowing our capitalist market to decide the value they hold. You all have adapted through your own down years and persisted, which has sweetened the good ones. Working with families all around and outside your area, many for multiple generations, reflects your honorable character and ability as a marketer to build relationships with community members from father to son to grandson. Each of you are a vital part of your region, being a pillar of your commission firm's weekly reunion of collective farmers, ranchers, buyers, sellers, workers, and interested onlookers. You have built a social and economic hub that carries on the same traditions of true price discovery that has been around since the world's first public auction, the selling of the Roman Empire.
This is Jackie Moore, Joplin Stockyards, Joplin, Missouri. They inducted me into the Cattle Marketing Hall of Fame. It was a really big honor, and I really want to thank the Winters family for doing this, because I think it's a great thing for the people in the cattle marketing business. You know, we do a lot of hard work over the years. 53 years I've been at this, and it was a big deal to me and to my whole family and all of my crew here to be inducted to the Hall of Fame. I sure want to thank you all and appreciate everything you did for me, and hope I can return the favor someday. Thank you a lot.
So before we introduce our 2025 inductees, we would like to take a moment and recognize our current Hall of Fame members. We are going to start with the class of 2019, Tom Gillum, Bill Griffith, Patrick Goggins, and Mike Lewis.
Fry at Centennial Livestock Auction in Fort Collins, Colorado. I was inducted into the Livestock Marketing Hall of Fame in 2021, and they asked me to give you a brief description of kind of what it means to be inducted into that class of people, and I can't find words to express to the Winter family and to everybody involved what it really means to stand with some of those greats like Jack Hunter and Jim Santamasso, Mark Mackey, the Madden brothers. It's great to, it's just a great feeling. Probably second only to my wife telling me that she'd marry me 40 years ago, and it's lasted this long. And I'm sure that the good feeling, the wonderful memories, the great, one of the greatest accolades that has sure ever happened to me, and being a part, and all of the auctioneer titles that you can win in your lifetime can never compare to being judged by your peers and them truly thinking that you're a person of honor, a person of moral stability, and that's all that we have in this life is, and all that we can pass on is what we stand for. And it's been great. It's been a privilege. It's been an honor, and it'll be something that hangs on with me for a long time. Thank you again to the Winter family. Thank you again to everybody involved. It's great to be a part of this class.
That's Tom Fry, class of 2021, along with Michael Samples and Carl Mark Winter.
Howdy, cowboys and cowgirls, fellow livestock marketing Hall of Famers, friends, and neighbors, and everyone that's here gathered tonight to induct the new members to the Livestock Marketing Hall of Fame. I'm Ralph Wade, world champion auctioneer, international champion auctioneer, but moreover, class of 2022 inductee and member of the Livestock Marketing Hall of Fame. I've been asked to talk about a little bit about what it means to me to be in the Livestock Marketing Hall of Fame. I can sum it up in 2 easy words: proud and honored. And I am so honored to have the distinction of being able to be on that wall of the recipients that have gone before me and those that will come behind me. We love this industry, and I am just so proud to have the opportunity to be just a small part of an industry that markets cattle for the livestock industry, for the ranchers, for the farmers, for the people that feed this great country of ours. I want to thank, of course, the Winter family for the great job that they're doing and instigating the Livestock Marketing Hall of Fame and what they have done to recognize the people. And there are so many that have touched my life over the years that, I know someday are going to be on this wall of Livestock Marketing Hall of Famers. Thank you so much to the Winter family. Thank you to all of my colleagues.
And Colonel Ralph White is joining us tonight. Would you please stand and be recognized by everyone? We're so glad to have you here. Class of 2022, along with Raymond Mark Winter, Robert Rodenberger, and Jim Sanamaso.
I was the president of Oklahoma National Stockyards for 19 years, and I've been retired for 4 years. I've been in livestock marketing for 55 years. I still participate at the auction every Monday morning, order buying cattle. I was very honored to be inducted into the Cattle Marketing Hall of Fame. It was very humbling for me to be selected. I want to thank the Winters family for putting this event on every year, and I look forward to welcoming the new inductees.
That's Robert Fisher Jr., part of class of 2023. John C. Jack Hunter, I believe he's here with us tonight. If you are, will you stand to be recognized? Thank you for being here. So good to have you here. Also, class of 2023, Jackie Moore and Gerald Don Beef Palmer, John E. Cowboy Jack Steinmetz.
Hunter, Crawford, Nebraska, owner of Crawford Livestock, along with my family, and I was inducted in the Cattle Hall of Fame in 2023, and I was asked what it meant to me to be part of the Cattle Marketing Hall of Fame. And first of all, I didn't know I was going to be nominated. Second of all, when I got inducted into the Hall of Fame, it was such an honor, very humbling. To be part of such a great organization and the icons in the cattle marketing business. I just didn't know if I was worthy enough to be part of it, but then I look around and yeah, we spent 45 years helping our customers get the best price they can for their cattle. Truly, one of the most humbling things, and it was a great honor for me also, was being inducted with my good friend Gerald B. Palmer. That was awesome. His family was there. He was a cattle buyer at our sales for 40 plus years. I saw him 2 or 3 times a week. And so that was truly an honor for all our families to be involved in it. I truly believe in price discovery and the auction way of selling things. And I think that still gives our customers the best value for their cattle of selling the auction way. Also, I want to thank Winter Livestock for all the work that they have done in putting this award together. It's just awesome to get all these people from all over the United States that really believe in the auction way of selling things.
So last year, the following names were inducted into the Cattle Marketing Hall of Fame as the class of 2024: Andrew Gottschalk, Mark Mackey, Lex Madden, and Sean Madden.
I'd like to say hello to everybody at this year's edition of the Cattle Marketing Hall of Fame. I've got a great group down there. I wish we could have been with you. You got Richard Stober, Eddie Nunes, John Campbell, who I still laugh when I see his market reports. I was fortunate enough to know Jim Schaben Sr. before he passed, and now my good buddy Jon Schaben's in there. Congratulations, guys. Ellington and John Rodgers, they basically started this in the video business a long, long time ago. They do a great job, and everybody's very deserving. Wish we were there. Some of you may know that my brother Lex has had some health issues, so we won't be able to make it this year. But we're definitely planning on coming next year. We got him the best help that we can find, and we're going to get him back to healthy, and we're going to be with you. But we hope you all enjoy your time in Dodge City, Kansas. And again, thank you to the Winter family for putting together a fantastic deal, and good luck to the auctioneers and the King of the Ring. Thank you.
Wishing the best to Lex. All those who have been inducted into the Cattle Marketing Hall of Fame have made outstanding contributions to the cattle industry. They've really paved the way for many others to follow in their footsteps. They are leaders, innovators, and risk takers. So let's give it up one more time to our current Hall of Fame members. And now, without further ado, let's welcome this year's class into the Cattle Marketing Hall of Fame, the class of 2025. Please welcome John Rodgers of Western Video Market to introduce Eddie Nunes.
Thanks for making me first. I really appreciate that, because I'm gonna get through this. Those that know me know that I'm a little more emotional sometimes, and I'm not in the 5th grade, but I can get a little emotional. Eddie Nunes, our dear friend from California, one of the greatest auctioneers there is around, and I've got a list of guys great auctioneers that never won the contest. One of them is Mike Nunes. I think he's up there in Nebraska. One of them is my brother Ed Rodgers. The other one is a guy named Joe. Yeah, I forgot his name. From Georgia, Joe Ellis from Georgia, and Eddie Nunes. And Eddie went 4 times. He was second once. He had probably the most rhythmic sound and the clearest, deepest voice of any auctioneer you'd ever see. And Eddie started, and it seems to me that all auctioneers just follow the song. Just follow what Leroy Van Dyke wrote. You know, you practice calling bids both night and day, and his pap find him out behind the barn. And a lot of us had trouble getting to school when we were supposed to, and like that. And Eddie was no exception to that. Eddie grew up. He was born in 1944, and he grew up on his family's dairy farm in Modesto, California. And Eddie had a pretend mic. It was a hammer handle. And he'd sell the cows when they came in the barn, and he'd sell the cows when they walked out of the barn. His grandfather would take him to the sale one day. His father might take him to the sale the next, so he got a double dose. He never went to auction school. He was self-taught, and not a better auctioneer was there around than Eddie. Had a chance to go to work for Riverbank Livestock Market in Riverbank, California. I think it's probably gone now. But Eddie started out like a lot of us did, selling baby calves back in the days when the auctions got a lot of baby calves. And like the rest of us, Eddie was real grateful to the auctioneer that was selling that sale and let him up there to sell the baby calves. We got older and realized the auctioneer that was in charge didn't want to sell the darn baby calves, and that's why we got to do it. But anyway, Eddie worked at Riverbank, became a better and better auctioneer, and there's a fellow out our way that's a legend, and a lot of you that follow the rodeo and like that know him. Hoke Evitz took Eddie under his wing and hired him, gave him a job to come down to Hanford and help him on his Monday sale, which lasted from early 9, 10 in the morning until sometimes after midnight. And Eddie made that trip every Monday for years and years and years. He got a lot of lessons from Hoke, and then everybody loved Eddie. And Eddie and I were about the same age, and I worked for Hoke's competitor. I worked for Art Martell, and so there should have been a little rivalry between Eddie and I, and there never was. Every time Eddie saw me, had a smile, had a handshake, had a "how you doing?" Just a great guy. Eddie had a chance to sell at the Stockton livestock market, which at that time was probably the largest livestock market on the West Coast. Maybe Ellington's was slightly bigger, Ellington. I slipped that in for you. I'm glad you appreciate it. Anyway, Stockton livestock market was a big deal. He worked for a guy named Pat O'Brien, Irishman from Southern California, and he worked at the Oakdale livestock market. He was there 28 years when his career finally ended. He had a chance to buy in, thanks to Pat O'Brien, and put Oakdale livestock market on the map, both in selling feeder cattle and selling beef breed cattle. And did a good job at both. He went from in 1984. There was a good friend of ours named Bud Causey that died tragically. And Bud was the owner of the Turlock livestock market. Eddie went over there to help Karen Causey, Bud's widow, with the auction. And I think Eddie at the time thought it might be temporary duty and he's going to help Karen and something will happen and they'll change things around and they'll get a regular auctioneer or whatever. Eddie stayed there until the end of his career, helping Karen Causey first, and then Max Oliveira, a student of Eddie's and somebody that Eddie had mentored that later became a world's champion auctioneer in his own right and one of the best auctioneers, and that was Max. Max actually should be up here with previous commitments. He couldn't make it, but Max and Eddie were the best of friends, and Eddie stayed there at Turlock after Max and his buddy Steve Faria bought into that yard, helped him every day until the end of his career. We moved along as Eddie was coming to the end of his career, he mentioned to Max, he said, I've never sold a video. And Max says, well, we can probably fix that. So he talked to me, he talked to Ellington Peek, he talked to Rick Machado, and sure, we're going to put Eddie on the block and let him go. And I got to tell you, and some of you guys that have done both, the video is a little different world than just the market sale. Not that it's better or all that. It's just different. It's more like selling horses than it is selling cattle. And there's a lot of tripwires out there, and we were a little apprehensive. Eddie had never sold one. So Rick Machado gets on one side of Eddie. Max Oliveira gets on the other side. I get down in front of the block, and we're going to make sure Eddie doesn't miss a bid or we don't have any trouble. Well, we should all just went to the bar and sat down, because Eddie got on there and sold it in championship style, and just did a tremendous job. Got a standing ovation when he was done. It was one of the last times that we had a chance to work with Eddie. So to say the least, Eddie was one of the great auctioneers that ever drew a breath. But that wasn't what really set Eddie apart. Eddie was one of these type guys. Ellington Peek is another. There's a couple other people that I know that truly love his fellow man. And those people are the ones that are glad to see you. Every time you come around, they lift you up. They make you higher. And Eddie was one of them. And it's a trait that he had that we all loved and respected. Eddie got along with everybody from the guy that brought the sheep and goats to town, to the guy that worked in the back, to the janitor that cleaned up after the sale, and the buyer from Harris Feeding Company. Eddie was loved by everybody, and that's no understatement. I remember Harris Feeding Company had an old buyer named Slats Wolfenberger. Slats was an old Texan, and he was a very nice man, but just a little crusty. And I got along fairly well with Slats, but I remember I had a really good sale one day, and everything had happened right. The gates all opened at the right time, and we got them sold. The market was stronger, and boy, I was feeling good and kind of taking a bow and real proud of myself. And I was walking out of my office when Slats Wolfenberger was walking in, and he said, "Johnny Rodgers," said, "you had a good day today." And I said, "Well, thank you, Slats, coming from you, that means a lot." He said, "Yeah," he said, "you got along pretty good, but remember one thing, you're no Eddie Nunes." So, anyway, we love Eddie Nunes. I made it a long time, didn't I? And we want all of you that didn't know him to love him too. On behalf of all the Californians and all the people that loved Eddie, I want to thank the Winter family. I want to thank all of you for being here. And in the style that Eddie would have accepted it, which is very humble and very graciously, we accept this award, and thank you very much.
Thank you, John. And although Eddie isn't with us here this evening, we'd like to give him another moment behind the mic. You can watch the screen.
Contestant number 97, Eddie Nunes from Modesto, California. He is sponsored by Oakdale Livestock, Oakdale, California, representing the Western region. Ladies and gentlemen, contestant number 97, Eddie Nunes.
Thank you, Dean. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's indeed a pleasure to be here. I'm going to get Holstein's tears. Hey, I'm going to get 49 to go down 50. Hit 49. I'm going to $50. I'm going to get 50. I'm going to 49 and 50. Bond. I'm going to get 2 50. Bond. I'm going to get 2 bond. 2. I'm going to get 52 down. Bring. I'm going to get 2 and a half down. 3. $53. I'm going to get 2 down. 3. 53. Hit 52 and a half. I'm going to get 3 down. 3. 52 down. I'm going to get 75. Hit 52 and a half. Sir. 75. I'm going to down here. 75. I'm going to get 275 down. 3. Bring. I'm going to get 3 down. I'm going to get 3 down. Quarter. 53. 25. I'm going to quarter. Sir. Hit 3. 25. I'm going to down 2 quarter. Get 53, 25, I'm going to down quarter, 53, 25, I'm going to get down, bring the quarter, I'm going to down hip, sold the cattle, $53. I'm going to get 2 down, get 2 down, half, sir, you're going to 250, down 3, I'm going to bring down, get 53, I'm going to get 2 and a half, down 75, down 3, I got 275, I'm going to get bring down quarter, I'm going to bring 25, I'm going to quarter, half, I'm going to bring 50, so you're going to half, I got a quarter down, half, so you're going to 50, I'm going to 3 and a half, I'm going to down 75, I'm going to 75, down 4, I'm going to get 54, here 3, 75, I'm going to 4, so you're going to 4, I'm going to bring 75, I'm going to get bring the round, and then 4, I'm going to get 4, sold the cattle 53.75. Put them on order number 55 on 4. Number 55 on 4. That's all for me. Thank you.
Oh, that was awesome. Eddie Nunez now has his place in the Cattle Marketing Hall of Fame class of 2025. Now please welcome Jon Schaben of Dunlap Livestock Auction to introduce his father, Jim Schaben Sr.
Before I get started, I wondered if Jack Hunter was going to break that shirt out tonight that he had on in that video. That's my kind of style, man. Yeah, I think one of the things that's pretty cool about our industry is, and there's quite a few Californians tonight getting honored, is that. Even being in the Midwest, I know all those people, and I think that's kind of the neat thing about our industry, and you get to know them pretty well. I not only did I get to play golf with a Californian this morning, I also knew going into it that he wasn't near as good as he thought he was, and David Macedo showed me again that he's not quite as good as he thought he was. So I don't think we finished very well, did we? We didn't get much help, did we, Mick? So. Joe Frazier's running around here, and we need a Joe to bail us out plenty. So, first of all, it's a pleasure here, and I also I want to thank the Winter family, and I thought it was pretty funny. Brian gets up here like a professional, but he said it's not one of his most favorite things to get up here in front. He says he's getting better every year at it. I'd say you're getting awful good. This is my first time here. They moved this whole weekend up a week, and it was always the first weekend and Friday, and that's our customer appreciation day every day in Dunlap, and next week will be 75 years for us, and it's fun. It's fun. You guys do a good job, and I really appreciate the opportunity to be here and appreciate the opportunity with the Hall of Fame. And when they talk about, I wrote it down, I won't find it, but Ralph used the words proud, I know, and when I look at the people that are in here, then I don't know what makes anybody worthy, but you don't quite feel worthy when you see some of these people in here. And then I look through and as far as marketing goes, I've been as our family has been a member of the Livestock Marketing Association our whole life. There's past presidents littered in here. Your past CEO is in here, and so we're very appreciative of it. I know there's past presidents of LMA in here tonight. I look and I see David and know my brother Jim, and so for all of your service, we're appreciative of that. As far with the dad's story, it's a big honor to be up here. And when Johnny talked about getting emotional, it's always hard not to. But I just want to, on behalf of our family, tell the Winter family thanks. It's a big honor. Obviously, like a lot of it, my dad, he's first generation auctioneer and a first generation market owner. And so it is a big part of our family. It's all we knew and all we ever did. And just one quick story about I think that's interesting about him getting into it. He had worked at the market and he had sold there. Didn't necessarily like how it was being ran, and so he left that employment to go there. And the local banker had came up to him and said, and it was not even a year later, and I think it turned to be good reason why he left there, that it wasn't being run right. And the bank came to him and approached him about buying it. He's a young kid, and our mom and dad owned a bar in the next town, and the bank said, "We want you to buy the place." And he said, "Well, that's great, but I can't." And the banker said, "No, you don't understand. We want you to buy it." And they made the deal that he could. And then for me, where the story gets kind of cool, they were still living in the other town. And I think, Jim, were you born there in Erling? Do you remember? Jay was. They got a couple kids. And the banker went to this gentleman that lived on the edge of town and told him that he needed to sell his farm and house to my dad so he could move to Dunlap. And that guy did it. So I don't know how your bankers all. I've never seemed to get mine to do anything for me. But so Dad had always told us that that banker was pretty instrumental in not only getting them started there, but getting our whole family there. So it's a pretty big deal. Once again, I was going to make this pretty short, and my brother told me the best acceptance speech is the shortest one. So I just want to tell you all on behalf of our family. Thanks a bunch. And then I want to say one quick thing to the contestants. There was nobody that liked my dad loved a good auctioneer and liked, and we were talking before, Ralph, we were just talking about a heifer deal that you had had, and it was an awful good story, and it was neat to hear about it, that you'd done with it. And as he's had a chance to do business with several other people here, and I was saying that's what's really neat about the industry. I want to read this. When I got out of auction school, he handed me this article. Dad and Mom had run thoroughbred horses for a lot of their life, and he had pulled this article that a guy had written in the Thoroughbred magazine about the auctions in the horse, auction off the high dollar thoroughbreds in Keeneland and things like that and everything else. And when he gave it to me, he said that he thought it was the best summary about being an auctioneer. So it said, and this is written by this guy. Okay, so I'm reading the article that this guy had written. Having spent far too much of my life within earshot of the auction podium, I've came to realize that the skill of the auctioneer behind the microphone can be the difference between a good and a bad auction. It doesn't mean that the auctioneer can make a bad horse bring $1 million, but it does mean that they can make sure that that animal brings all that crowd was willing to offer. In addition, a great auctioneer will know their crowd well, neither dropping the hammer too fast or dragging the auction out too long. A great auctioneer must make it seem that the auction of that horse is the most important thing going on in the world at that moment, a sentiment that is actually only shared by the consignor. And I always thought that was a good way and a good thing to say. So he'd love that. To you contestants tomorrow, he'd loved a good auction contest. So best of luck to you all. On behalf of our family and my mom and dad, thank you.
Thank you, John. Congratulations again to the family. Please welcome now Celeste Citrini of Citrini Ranches and Turlock Livestock Auction Yard to introduce John Rodgers. Thank you.
Good evening. I am very excited and honored to be here to celebrate the wonderful contributions that these young men have brought to the cattle industry, as well as celebrating the good of American agriculture with all of you. Truly, there is no better life than the life we all live in the cattle business. When we first got word that Johnny was nominated for this award, they asked you to bring someone along to introduce them. Well, who better to do that than the ranching families he has worked alongside for 50-plus years? Family is and has been the cornerstone of John's business. My name is Celeste Citrini, and I will be representing those families in this introduction, along with John's grandson, Cole Anderson. John Rodgers is a prominent figure in the livestock marketing industry with a career that spans over 5 decades. Growing up on his family's farm in Visalia, California from a very young age, John enjoyed the cattle business, owning his own Black Angus herd as a young boy in 4-H. He started his auction career at age 14 and kicked off his lengthy career first selling drop calves for Art Martella in 1966. This is just what he needed to get the ball rolling in the auction business, from there working for and besides numerous influential livestock auctioneers. He worked hard on his cattle marketing and auction skills and went on to win the prestigious title of World Champion Livestock Auctioneer in 1986. John's expertise and passion for the cattle business led him to purchase and operate the Stockman's Market Auction Yard in Visalia from 1978 to 1994, and he continues to trade cattle under that same name today. In the early 1980s, John ventured into video marketing, collaborating with renowned auctioneer Skinner Hardy in 1982. This innovation continued into 1988 when, with the help of Russell Sablicki, Leroy Pimentel, and Richard Stober. These efforts laid the foundation for the creation of Western Video Market in 1990, alongside business partners Ellington and Andy Peek. Western Video Market revolutionized the industry by connecting sellers and buyers nationwide through satellite and internet broadcasts, and today it remains the second largest livestock video auction company in the USA, selling over 400,000 head of cattle and sheep annually. John Rodgers' commitment to the livestock industry is widely recognized. He has been honored multiple times for his contributions, including being named Cattleman of the Year by the Tulare County Cattlemen's Association not once, but twice, California Livestock Marketing Association Friend of the Industry, and being inducted recently into the California Angus Hall of Fame for his work with purebred Angus sales and keeping Angus calves at the forefront of the video. Although John has retired from auctioneering, he remains actively involved in Western Video Market and continues to contribute to the industry, mentoring young auctioneers with his work with fellow world champions, Colonel Max Oliveira and Colonel Ralph Wade, through their Champions Chant bid calling seminar each year. Well, enough of all of that. What did the families have to say? And we had a number of families that called and shared their thoughts, and we'd like to share a few of those this evening. From O'Neill Ranch, Betsy and Gary Cardoza had to say, "It's been a pleasure to work with John in marketing our calves through Western Video Market for the past 36 years. Not only has Johnny marketed our commercial cattle, but was there at the start of our annual bull sale over 20 years ago. We consider Johnny a part of our family and would not have the success we have today without his guidance and support. Our family is honored to have Johnny Rodgers in our corner for all of our marketing needs. Jill Healy of Lazy JT Land and Cattle had to say, I've known John for over 25 years, and from day one, he told me that the Lazy JT Ranch was in good hands. After 25 years, we are still with John as our cattle rep, and year after year, we get amazing exposure to potential buyers, new and on repeat. I am so honored to have him talk the market and talk about our cattle. I know that what he told me 25 years ago still stands true, that we are in good hands. He knows his business. Thank you, Johnny, for all that you do for us. You go above and beyond what we expect, and you get good results. So well deserved. Susan Cochran. John is one of the most sincere people I've yet to meet. His integrity runs deep, and we are honored to have him marketing our calves. And we just have two more. So, Martin Echeverry of Diamond Cattle Company. Congratulations, John, on your induction to the Cattle Marketing Hall of Fame. John has been a great representative for our family-run cattle business for the last 20 years. He has guided us in the ups and downs of the market, and we so appreciate his expertise in the industry. Thank you, John, for your continued support and friendship, Mark and Martin Echeverry. And finally, another dear friend, Marty Williamson from the Boston Ranch, says that John's honesty and integrity stand out the most to me. When we started using Angus bulls, we were looking for suppliers we could trust. John introduced us to some breeders that we still do business with today, over 30 years later. It shows me that good people trust and respect him as much as I do. Johnny has marketed our cattle for my entire career at the Boston Ranch. And one last deal, John is really committed to the future of the cattle marketing business and to agriculture. And recently I got a note on social media from Gabrielle Nevin of the Nevin Cattle Ranch. She said, it's so nice to hear encouragement from John's generation to our younger generation. We have struggled wondering if we should sell our cow herd, and it's nice to hear encouraging words to keep us going. John values the younger generation and wants to help us succeed. And for his official introduction and to welcome John to receive his honor is grandson Cole Anderson.
Congratulations, Papa, on a well-deserved honor. We are so proud of you of all you do for so many ranching families. Congratulations.
Well, I told myself I wasn't going to get emotional and cry when I got up here for the real. That was, thank you, Celeste, very much. Celeste Citrini, one of the leaders in California Ag and former president of the California Women's for Ag, and knows everybody in the world. We're out to dinner last night over here, 1,700 or 1,800 miles from home. Across the room at another table, Celeste says, I think that lady's from Madera, California. And I thought, not likely. Well, I was dead wrong. So Celeste knows everybody. And thank you, Cole. He read that just the way I wrote it for him. I will be as brief as an auctioneer can when he's making a speech. And I have a confession to make. And some of you that pay much attention to the contests are aware. I went to 12 contests over 18 years, and I never made a technical error. I was always kind of in there. I wasn't in the top 10 a few times, but normally I had a chance. And keep in mind that out of those 12 times, only one time did I make a technical error, and that was the year I won. And I equate that, like when Roger Maris hit his 61st, if the replay a year later had shown that it curved just slightly over the foul line. That's the way I felt. And I honestly didn't know it I honestly didn't know it that day, and neither did anybody else. Mike Lewis was one of the judges. I got to be a good friend with Mike later, but I didn't know him. I didn't know Walter Britton. I didn't know anybody. And I say today that I was so smooth that nobody noticed it. But I dropped the ball and backed up about $10 a 100, and the tapes did not come out until April. If I'd have known it that night or the next morning, I'd have handed the trophy to Doug Strotheid, who was second, with the idea that I get to go some more. And I eventually, so I've been sorry about that ever since. Now, having said that, I talked to Doug, a year or two after that. He was helping us, well, longer than that, but he was helping us with a video through Crawford Livestock. And I said, I kind of feel bad. And he says, well, you did more for the industry than most any of us ever had a chance to do. And I got to thinking, and that was true. I did an interview with CNN that went viral. When I won the contest, the auctioneer that won it had 2 days. He had the day he won it and the day that they picked the next guy, and he got to be the master of ceremony at the contest. I went to Kansas City. There was a guy there, and I think he was the head of the competition committee. And I'm not going to take a lot of time. I'm real happy to be here. And again, I want to thank the Winter family. But a young guy named Randy Emmerich, his family owned the market at Norfolk, Nebraska, and I believe he was the head of the competition committee. And I went back there. I can't remember who the head of LMA was. Tim Rodgers was my rep, and Mark Mankey was involved. And anyway, I sat down with them, had a lot of really nice-looking women working for him. I remember that. Anyway, I said, I would like to do something. Maybe we could go around some of these specials and like that, and well, what would it take? And I kind of told them we made a deal. I sold a sale in Dixon, Tennessee. I sold one and what is it, Asheville, North Carolina. I sold a sale there. I sold a sale in Brush. Sold a sale for my friend Pat Fitzgerald at the Stockton Livestock Market. So I feel like I'm the one that encouraged LMA to use their world champion more than just, we got this world champion, now come back in a year and help us crown the next one, which was, seriously, I believe it was the way it was. And I kind of pushed them to let us do that. So I will take credit for that. And I will take credit for the fact that there's not just one video company in the United States also, because we were second and took me 3 weeks to find out what the heck an uplink truck was. And I really didn't know. How do you do it? How do you do this? And I struggled along for a couple of years, had 2 sales on my own that were broadcast, and I got a pretty good support, and I ran into if I'm a legend, Ellington Peek is an icon. He absolutely is. He's a getter. It's like I said earlier, he loves his fellow man. He enjoys his work. And like the guy said, if you love what you do for a living, you never work a day in your life. And Dale Carnegie said he never met a man he didn't like. I said, well, he never made some of the Packer buyers that I have to do business with. But that's Ellington Peek. I don't believe Ellington has ever met a man that he truly didn't like. And we owe all the success of Western Video to Ellington. And to give you an example, we had 180,000 cattle last week on one of the hottest markets that we've ever seen. And out of that 180,000, the guy that won the prize for the biggest single consignment from one ranch was Ellington Peek at 97 years old. So I want to thank, again, the Winter family. I love this business. I love the people in it. When I won the first time I was Cattleman of the Year for my county, I said undeserved but appreciated. I feel the same about this. Thank you all very much, and thanks to the Winter family again and all of you for being here. A special thanks to our colleague in Western Video who was with us from almost day one, Jack Hunter from from up there at Crawford and his lovely wife. We appreciate you guys being here. We really do. Thank you very much. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Congratulations, John. Well, speaking of Ellington Peek, I would like to welcome Dwayne Martin Jr. of Martin Livestock from California to introduce Ellington Peek. Welcome up.
Well, I'm not quite as polished a speaker as Johnny or Celeste, but this is quite an honor to introduce somebody in our industry that is truly, truly a legend, and as Johnny said, an icon. Nearly 50 years ago, I started going with my father to Shasta Livestock Auction. Ellington was always on the block or behind the bullboard, talking about the cattle in the ring, pointing out the consigners in the stands, or taking bids with the Shasta ball cap half twisted to the side, half cocked. He was so wound up into what was going on, he didn't even realize it was twisted, and I suspect really didn't care. Ellington Peek was born in Stockton, California in 1928 into a family involved for generations in the livestock industry. His grandfather was a cattle rancher, and his father, Ellington Sr., was a highly respected cattle buyer. As a boy, Ellington spent a lot of time with his dad procuring cattle to drive or haul to the slaughterhouses in Stockton. He worked the ring in many auction barns across the state and bought cattle for a meat packer. At a dance in 1950, he met Betty Gomes, a ranch girl from San Andreas, and they were married that year. He was always proud to say that he bought cattle at an auction yard in Siskiyou County while on their honeymoon and made enough to pay for their trip. After a stint in Korea, serving his country, Ellington came back home, resuming buying cattle and trading cattle in California and Oregon. Ellington and Betty had 4 children, Andy, Callie, Lori, and Brad. Betty took care of the day-to-day family responsibilities while Ellington was on the road. And according to the kids, he was on the road a lot. In 1955, Ellington was asked to run the Susanville auction yard. While there, he learned the Shasta auction yard in Anderson was up for rent. So with a $3,000 bank loan in hand, Ellington and Betty signed a 3-year lease and started working for themselves. After the lease was up, he couldn't convince the owners to sell. So Ellington took an offer to build and manage a new auction barn in Red Bluff, California for Producers Livestock. After a year working there, Ellington decided he needed to work for himself and run the business the way he best see fit for himself and the ranchers that trusted in him to market his livestock. After that, Ellington and Betty bought the old Shasta yard and started Shasta Livestock Auction. They quickly outgrew the facility in Anderson, and in 1966, Shasta Livestock Auction moved to their new facility in Cottonwood. It became the highest volume auction yard west of the Rockies and one of the largest in the country. The business evolved into a true family-run business. Andy and Callie started working at Shasta in the 70s, taking on the roles of yard manager and office manager. After Andy's passing, Brad took the general manager role. In 1989, Ellington joined Johnny Rodgers of the Stockman's Market to establish the Shasta Stockman's Livestock Video Auction. At the urging of Andy and a lot of the local ranchers, it would eventually become known as Western Video Market. Today, the company is one of the industry-leading leaders producing cattle auctions throughout the western United States that are broadcast on the internet and Dish Network to national audience. Shasta Livestock Auction closed in 2021 to allow the family time to manage, put their focus on the company's country sales and Western Video Market. Ellington has been recognized for many contributions to the livestock industry, including being named the 1993 California Livestock Man of the Year, receiving the 2007 Chester A. Reynolds Award for the Western Heritage and National Cowboy Museum, and the 2009 National Cattlemen's Foundation Beef Industry Vision Award, along with Johnny Rodgers, for livestock marketing. In 2021, Ellington was recognized as the Livestock Marketing Association Icon Award for his remarkable impact on the livestock industry. Beyond his accomplishments and success, what truly makes Ellington so great is his humbleness, his loyalty, and his honesty. This man has the innate ability to make everyone feel as if they are just as important as the next guy. It doesn't matter if you brought 5 head to the sale or 500. If you were there to buy a baby calf or 10 loads, if you were working out back at the sale yard bringing cattle, or the cowboy on the ranch bringing them to the scale, or the truck driver hauling them in and out, you were as important as anyone else to Ellington Peek. He was always there with a smile on his face, ready and willing to shake your hand. And his impact on the livestock industry is not done yet. At 97, he is still repping cattle on Western Video Market, and he is in the Shasta Livestock auction offices practically every day. He is still eager to offer his time and knowledge to everyone in the industry. They say, if you love what you do, you will never work a day in your life. Well, I truly believe that Ellington Peek has never worked a day in his life. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my great honor to introduce Ellington Peek.
Well, it's really nice to see all the people here today. I'm a little bit slow and a little bit old, and I'm not a very good talker, but anyhow, I appreciate what they said. And I do appreciate all the people here tonight. It's something. Anyhow, I have been in the business a long time, and Johnny Rodgers and I got in the Western livestock auction business, and we've done real good there. And before that, I order bought for most of the biggest feedlots in the country. Did a lot of business with Momford and Simplot, and way before that, as a kid, Bill Moffett, who you guys probably wouldn't know, but in Nevada and California, he had more 3-year-old steers. He'd run on grass, and then he'd kill them. And that was in the 50s and early 60s. But anyhow, I wouldn't have had my success I had if it wasn't for my family and my employees and everybody else. I had three of the best auctioneers in the country, and Johnny Rodgers and Maxie Oliveira and Rick Monte. Anyhow, I'm not a very good talker, but I appreciate all you guys have done, and let's have good markets from now on.
Congratulations, Ellington. So well deserved. Now please welcome to the stage Jay Romine of Bluegrass Stockyards, LLC to introduce Jon Schaben.
Well, good evening, everybody. It's a great honor to get this call for my dear friend Jon. I met Jon Schaben in 1999. We competed together in Asheville, North Carolina. Didn't really get to know each other then, but later in 2001, we met up again in Oklahoma City and competed at OKC West. And on that particular day, we both got our rear ends handed to us, and we were on the bus back to the hotel, wondering what we were going to do next. And later in life, Jon went on to 2003. He's competed at our barn. He was fortunate enough to win there. I'm still competing, but he made short time of it. But in 2003, we hosted it. I knew Jon, and I've been fortunate to meet the whole Schaben family. I knew Jim Sr. and fine family, and they've never met strangers. They're true market folks. 2003, we're in Lexington, and I was starting the kettle. I couldn't compete because of our sale, and I can't remember, Johnny, correct me if I'm wrong, but was there something brought up about if the mic died? Maybe there was. I don't remember, but on that particular day, his second draft, the mic died. And so we had some downtime, and Jon's never been one short for words, and he talked some, and we got through it. The very next draft come in was a Holstein bull, and I think I started a little short of the money, and his brother proceeded to bid, and they got hung up with a Holstein bull. But that day turned out good, and Jon was crowned champion, and he is a true champion, went on to win the world there at our market, the international contest in the greater Midwest. You'll never meet a finer, passionate person about life, the industry, and just everything. He's very passionate. I've known him well enough where there's 750 miles between us. We don't talk every day. We don't see each other every week, but when we do, it's like we just picked up from where we left off. I know him well enough to know that what his passions are. I think I'm going to touch on the top 3 to 5 anyway. Number one, not any particular order, would be Iowa State athletics. He's a true fan of them. And when I say fan, I mean if you're sitting around thumbing around on Facebook on a Sunday evening and he's posted at 10 o'clock that morning, he's had something to come up. He's trying to get rid of his women's volleyball tickets, so he's got season ticket holder, I think, every sport they have. Also, he's very passionate about his derby seats. So we've been fortunate enough to go to the derby together a couple of times, and one year we had a home run, and the second year the first day was fine, but the second day was a little tough, and that happened to be Derby Day. But I've enjoyed Jon. We've enjoyed each other. Our friendship means a lot to us. His passion for the livestock industry is second to none. What he does and what his family does for that area up there in the Midwest, they're true market people. I've had the opportunity to sell there, and it's amazing what they get done week in and week out. Those folks they sure are big proponents of the livestock industry. And Jon, not only the livestock industry, he's very passionate about fundraising. And they just recently he had a 60th birthday, and they raised almost $800,000 for his lost for words, kind of like Ellington. Yeah, foundation. Thank you, Jon. But again, we are all part of a fraternity. Some of us go off to school and join fraternities and have friends, but I'd like to thank the winners for extending this fraternity through not only the LMA and other contests, but I'm like Jon, I've known people in California, and I remember Ellington being to his sale barn in 1990 when he hosted the world contest and thought that was the coolest thing. And but I wouldn't know any of these people in here if it wasn't for the cattle industry and the livestock marketing business. But I've been an auctioneer for 35 years with Bluegrass Stockyard, and I love it dearly. And I don't think I can love it half as much as Jon does, but Jon Schaben is the kind of person that if you're around him enough, he'll make you a better person. And it's my very honor and privilege to introduce you to a true champion in your 2025 Inductee Hall of Fame.
I had a few remarks I wanted to make, but I'm going to call an audible on the first one. Jay mentioned about being passionate about my Derby seats, okay? And for those of you who don't know Jay, I have asked a time or two for a task. It might be, buy me a load of 4-year-old turnout cows, and I get 8-year-old cows that have horns and things like that. And so on occasion, my asks don't always get answered the way I want, right? So when my wife and I were going to attend our first Derby, Jay's right there almost next to town, and he's in charge of everything, the event and getting us to dinner, but most importantly to get seats. And I told Jay, and I was pretty adamant about it. I said, Jay, whatever you do, just get good seats. I said, I really don't care about anything else, and if they're not going to be good, I really don't want to go. I just soon sit home and watch it on TV. And so make sure you have them. I'll get them. I'll get good seats. I'll get good seats. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. So we get down there, and Jay picks us up at the airport, and everything's great, but right away I said, Jay, hey, tell me about the seats. And he said, well, that was the first word out of his mouth, well. And I'm not prepared, but figuring what's going to come next. He said, well, I got a seats. And he said, I know they're not going to be quite as good as you like. And I'm instantaneously, and for somebody I love so much, I can get mad at him instantaneously. So instantaneously I'm mad at him, when he says, well. And he said, they're not, I know they're not what you want. And I'm like, well, then why'd you get them? And he said, well, wait. He said, tomorrow night at midnight, we're going to meet a guy in the back of a Safeway parking lot. I swear to God, I ain't making this up. And he said, we're going to take these tickets and $2,500 in cash, and he's going to get us really good seats. I said, Jay, we're going to get mugged. I said, and I asked him if he was, and I didn't. I asked you if you were carrying, and he said, yeah, I carry all the time. I got one, So we head, and we get. We do the exchange and get the tickets. I'm thinking they're fraudulent, right? We're not going to get in. They're not going to be any good. And Jay walked us to, if you were at a football game, we were on the 45-yard line, about 16 rows up. And all I'm going to tell you is when they were looking for the owner of the winning horse, they were going way past our seats and the place not near as good. So he, even when I doubted him, he did deliver my tickets for me, okay? So I do appreciate you coming up here. I do appreciate the introduction. As I was telling you before, and I think it's a common theme about, he used the term fraternity, or, how I heard it earlier, how and maybe it was from Jim, how small our industry becomes, and how and so for a guy from Lexington, Kentucky, a state that I haven't been to that many times, to be one of your dear friends, that's what makes the whole thing pretty neat. So now to my quick prepared remarks. First of all, and I wrote them down so I didn't mess it up. Thanks to the Winter family. Not only for this honor, but your hospitality, the promotion of competitive marketing, and that's what the contest does, right? It's showcasing what auctioneers do day in and day out, achieving the best price they can for the people they work for. And so I know that's what you live every day. I get that, and that's what you all live every day, but they've taken that to another level in relationship of how they want to promote that. So thanks a pile for them. It'd be as good a time. We've given a lot of applause. I couldn't think of a better time to give that family another round right now. Thanks a bunch. Quick thanks to my family. They are all off doing stuff that so we can be here messing around. So I got to golf this morning badly, but I got to do that. So to my wife Julie and our 4 kids, I thank them. Business partners, my brother Jim's here. My brother Jay's at home. My parents who gave it to me, actually in our cattle and farming operation. My brother Joe is just going to retire here this year. Special shout out, a lot of you know Will Epperly. He won that, didn't he? He won this contest a few years ago, right? I know it's a pretty big deal when he came home. I tried to tell him, since our auction is a team effort, that when he won that and walked in with that big check, that should be team shared. I don't think we ever got any of that, but Will has, for those who don't know, young man that started with us. He comes out of Virginia. Actually worked with you guys down there, right, Jay? It might have been working with you when he came to start with us. But one of the ways he came, we were looking for a bid caller, and Will was in the contest, and he was a pretty good bid caller. And so he, gosh, I don't know, I think he's been with us 10 years. He actually is, he owns part of our operating company now. And so to him and his wife, Allie, big thanks to them too. And I know he loved it when he was down here. And I'm sure you guys loved him, and fortunate enough to be champion. To everybody else's nominee tonight, congrats, awesome deal. So how I feel about it too. And I'm going to sum it up. Ralph, I found the quote. You said you were proud and honored. I'm proud and honored. Thank you.
Congratulations again to John. Now, if you would please help me welcome Jason Glenn of Overland Stockyard to introduce Richard Stober.
Well, I wrote it down too, just so that everybody knows. There's a few things I like doing, and this is challenging. I like talking on the phone. I don't like talking in front of people. But good evening. I would like to start off by welcoming everyone here to this special event. My name is Jason Glenn, managing partner at Overland Stockyards in Hanford, California. On behalf of our livestock market, my partner Dustin Burkhart, we would like to thank the Winter family and all the folks that put together such an incredible evening showcasing cattle marketing. This evening we are recognizing an individual whose vision some nearly 50 years ago laid the foundation for one of the most popular forms of livestock marketing, Mr. Richard Stober. As this recipient into the Hall of Fame, what better man to induct than Richard, the creator, I hope I got my facts right, of the first ever video auction. In the spring of 1980, Video West Cattle Auction was conducted at the famous Madonna Inn in San Luis Obispo, California. Richard's foresight in marketing was genius, yet the timing was unfortunate. You see, according to a consignor that day, prior to the sale, apparently, Reserve Chair Paul Volcker, am I right? Significantly raised interest rates to historic levels trying to combat inflation. Needless to say, that consignor's cattle got PO'd along with others. Richard was born in Southern California. Richard's father, Ernest Red Stober, whom was a butcher cow buyer, would take him on the road at a very young age. With his father, Richard traveled endless hours, the highways, back roads to various ranches and livestock markets throughout the West. At the young age of 24, Richard became a partner at the Templeton Livestock Market. then went on to run National Western Sale in Denver, Colorado, where he met lifelong friend Dave Whaler. Whether he was sorting, auctioneering, processing, order buying, trading, or running thousands of cattle outside on pasture, Richard knew the ins and outs of the business and trade. In 2007, Richard was hired as general manager of Superior Livestock Auction. In 2 short years, Richard took the company and its representatives to new heights. By creating the value-added concept, enhanced vaccine programs, and redesigning the graphics and catalog to make room for those various icons that we all recognize so well, from 2007 to 2009, under Richard's direction, SLA offered 4.7 million cattle. So David Macedo, yes, I would like to have $1 for every one. That's in 2 years. In 2010, Richard returned back to California and became head of procurement for Harris Feeding Company, a 120,000 head feed yard in Coalinga, California. He was also, at the time, responsible for procuring cattle for Mr. Dave Wood of Wood Livestock, supplying all the cattle for their various ranches and associated feedlots. This resulted in another 75 to 100,000 cattle annually, all the time managing his own grow yard at home in Madera, California. Now, behind most successful men is an even better woman, Miss Nancy Stober, who should be recognized for 40-plus years of marriage. She has kept Richard headed in a detailed direction for all the reps, customers, family members, and countless others that have relied heavily on this man's expertise in business. For that, we say thank you. Richard is semi-retired today, whatever that means, living in Purcell, Oklahoma, enjoying a slower, well-deserved pace of life. In closing, the words in Richard's bio say it best. His philosophy has always been love what you do, work hard, and help others along the way. Most importantly, never stop being a student of your craft. Richard has always said to myself and others that he truly believes we all end up where we're supposed to be. It's all part of a plan. Well, tonight, lucky as some would call him, he's ended up in here in front of you all. He's meant to be in the Cattle Marketing Hall of Fame. It's with immense gratitude from myself, my family, my colleagues, I introduce Mr. Richard Stober.
Fortunately, I don't have any prepared statement. I recognize I have a tendency to put things in cliches, and one of them I like to use is I never travel alone. My whole life, the Lord's been with me. It's that simple. I'm not a member of a church, but I'll say it again, I've never traveled alone. He's been with me in a lot of different ways, but always. The other thing that I am so thankful for is that my wife described herself so ably to Jason and inserted that at the end of that, but we've been together for a long time. She's been my partner, helped me process, do whatever it took to be a success. And she is still with me, and we stay busy laughing at each other and calling each other out. So I'm fortunate for that. The other thing that has kind of guided me is I always wanted to be a success. And I had an old dairyman tell me one time, he says, help others be success and take a little bit from each one of those. And so by helping other people be a success, it's let me be my greatest success. So I'm thankful for all the people I've got to do things with, all the people that I've been able to mentor in a positive way. And that's a big reward for me. I've done a lot of different things. I don't think you could put it all on a bio because it's, I got my first ticket for driving without a license in a pickup that I owned with racks when I was 14, going to the sale to help Eddie Nunes. So, and you know, one of my best friends sitting here tonight, and that's John Rodgers, and I'm thankful for him too. And I like to say that the thing that I miss most about not being active is my community, the people that I lived and worked with 5, 6, 7 days a week for over 50 years. And I get a lot of calls. I have a lot of interaction with them. So that's about me. But I would like to briefly tell you how we got started. I had a partner named Jimmy Carter, and we had a pasture operation, and we had gone to, Pat Goggins had a video, not a video, but a slideshow contract auction in North Platte, and I want to say it was 77 or 8. I can't remember exactly. Anyway, driving around one day trying to be inventive, they'd just come out with video camera equipment. And we had decided we would have a video contract auction. And there had been one other contract auction up in Oregon, and I don't know if Ellington can remember it, but I just remember the guy had a little hitch of white ponies, and he would take, and I racked my brain trying to remember his name, but that one flopped. They had that one in Reno. Pat's was a success, and the reason I went to it was a friend of mine, Terrell Spence, had 700 or 800 Mexican cattle that he consigned to it that were on pasture at Fairplay, Colorado. So I had an airplane at the time, and we flew back there and watched his Mexicans sell. So we had a sale. There were 15,000 cattle consigned, which seemed to be a big deal to us. One of the prerequisites was that it was an absolute sale. You could not no-sale them. The cattle had to be in first hands, and we had a bank reference with a phone number on it in the ad because there was questions as to whether we could live up to the contracts or not. So that was in April of 1980. At that time, Jim Odell and Dave Whalert came to that event in San Luis Obispo, and they had what would be the first Odell and Cumberland sale at the Stapleton Plaza Hotel in Denver. That sale was held in the same year, September. In the meantime, my partner got killed in an airplane wreck. I assumed his share of the debt, and John Rodgers asked to express an interest in being involved. Our partner in the video was Skinner Hardy. Skinner was not against doing it again, but not really for doing it. I think John encouraged him, but the one thing that Skinner did not want to do, he didn't want to sell cattle to people he didn't know. So he didn't want to bank the deal. And so it went along like that for a few years, and then ultimately John wanted to go on with it, and he got hooked up with Ellington and Andy, and the rest is history. In the meantime, I spent the next 5 years paying off the debt. And so we were laughing yesterday about, you know, what good times we're having. And I made the comment that I've spent more time crawling out of a bad market, then I'm going to get at the top of this wonderful market. So the business has been very good to me. I've loved it. I've loved the people. I'm still very interested. Just the time has come. I'm especially thankful for all the good people that I've been associated with over the years. John Loftus, I've known him for 60 years. Mona Whalert, the cornerstone of Superior Livestock Auction, I've known her 50 years. And it's wonderful to have friends and longevity. And I thank the Winter family, especially Darcy, who looks to me like she's crazy working this thing. And I thank God for all I've been given.
I love hearing all these stories tonight. Another big congratulations to Richard. Now I would like for you all to welcome to the stage Steve Gable of Magnum Feed Yard to introduce Jon Campbell. And we also have a few words in John's honor from Brian Winter and Mark Winter, both of Winter Livestock. So I'll welcome all of them up to the stage now.
Well, John's the PR guy of the group here, so you'll have to bear with Brian and I a little bit. I've got a feeling if you watch John on the internet, this is probably going to get pretty entertaining. So we'll try to be short. I've just got 30 or 45 minutes worth of material to go over. John does hold a very special place in our hearts. He's more than a colleague. He's always been a part of our family. We consider him a brother. Those of you that know John, I think you would probably say he's a type A personality. He's really a double A or a triple A. If you know him well, you know that. And he is one of the hardest working men I've ever met. He'll get up at 3 o'clock in the morning, get in his car, drive to Dodge City or Pratt, beat me to work all day, go back home, do it again the next day. And he does it on a regular basis. He's a champion of the cattle industry, a champion for his customers, wonderful family man. It's well-deserved, John. Congratulations.
Thanks, Mark. Yeah, I've pretty much known John my entire life. He's 42, 43 years. When Jerry Keffler and Ray Winter hired him, we were moving to Dodge City, so many people know him much tighter, and you can see by the group that's here. Hey, Colin, haven't seen you in a while. How you doing? So we are fortunate to talk to John, weekly or almost bi-weekly every week, but a lot of you know him from his post. He was kind of like a worldwide celebrity for about 3 years during the COVID. And everywhere I went, everywhere in the United States, do you know Jon Campbell? Do you know Jon Campbell? It was the craziest thing. But how I know Jon Campbell is just like Mark. No one will outwork him, and what he says is his word is his word. And everybody that knows him will say that. Now, the other part is his family, and Valerie has been tremendous. She's always there for John, Colin and Marissa, and now Jared, and they've got their grandkids. It's been really great to see him as a grandfather. It's something that we've seen and enjoyed this going through, and really appreciate it, John. Congratulations. I'm going to shoot it back to Steve. He's sitting in the back. Class of 2021, Cattle Feeding Hall of Fame, Steve Gable. I think it's probably John's best friend. Take it away, Steve.
Thank you. Thank you very much. John Dwayne Campbell was born in Greeley, Colorado on January the 23rd, 1959, to Betty Kime and John Campbell, and arrived home to meet his older sister, Gail. As you can read in John's biography, he was born into a marketing family with deep roots in Weld County, Colorado, specifically in the Greeley area, as both grandfathers were owners and operators of auction markets. Grandpa Andy Campbell sold horses and mules in Evans, Colorado, just south of Greeley, in the late 1930s and early 1940s. And Grandpa Tom Kime owned and operated the Weld County Livestock Commission Company east of Greeley. John's folks followed the family tradition and were involved in the sale barns, which probably lit the first fuse. John's mom and his sister both earned their PhD degrees and both became college deans. John's dad, on the other hand, dropped out of school before he graduated to hunt coyotes. John is a product of both, but take my word when I say he sure leans toward the sire's side. You can read an awful lot about John's accomplishments and that sort of thing in the biography that's included in the program. When he called and asked me to give this introductory speech, we kind of agreed that there weren't any limits, but I soon realized that Valerie and Marissa and Colin were going to be here. So I'm going to let you read the biography and all of the things that John accomplished, and I'm going to talk about John and I. We met during the start of our 4-H careers, and we remain dear friends to this day, 55 to 60 years later. We started feeding a few cattle in the early 1980s, and since that day, since that first pen, we've had something on feed every day since. Sometimes not very many, and sometimes way too damn many. And maybe at times we even fed a few horses. We kind of always figured that if we had the money, thought we could keep them in the corral or a pen, and we thought we had a market when they were finished, we'd give it a try. It's probably a good thing that we went to different high schools and that we never attended the same college at the same time. The fun we had and the memories we made still get discussed occasionally, usually over a stiff drink, and we're both amazed at the fact that the law was never involved, except for speeding tickets that Bigfoot got, cost him his license once. In early 1981, I was working at CattleFax as a market analyst, and I got a phone call from Jerry Keffler. He asked me to tell him about this Campbell kid. I said he knows how to work, he's honest to the core, he has a bigger-than-life personality, and he's half full of bullshit. Mr. Keffler said perfect and hung up, and as they say, the rest is history. John began working at Winter Livestock and for Ray Winter in 1981. No path to ownership. One family, one company for 45 years. Think about that. At the conclusion of John's biography in tonight's program, John says, and I quote, "Winter Livestock is my life and my life's work." You talk about loyalty. John idolized Raymond Winter. Although I never had the opportunity to meet Ray in person, I've had a chance to hear many Raymondisms through the years from Jon, ideals that Jon held high. The difference between good and great is 15 minutes. Work 6 days a week to stay even, 7 to get ahead. Renew, don't repair. Surround yourself with those willing to go to war with you. If you're pressed to make an important decision in a short period of time, the answer is always no. Be honest and be honorable. Jon has always done a market report for winter livestock in La Junta. He was the radio voice of southeastern Colorado for several years. I tried to convince him to get involved in politics. I'd be his campaign manager. It would have been easy. Everyone, and I mean everyone, knew Jon. If not by face, at least they knew his voice. He told me one day, Steve, some people just don't like me. I dropped the idea. One, to always keep up with technology in the communication world, the radio report was replaced with the internet. Facebook, CattleUSA in 2020. Jon created an even bigger following, probably not as much for the market report, but for all the commentary that accompanied it. Sarcasm, humor, controversy, politics, even some truisms were included in those broadcasts. Now, realize that living in Colorado presents some real challenges for us conservatives. Right, Jon? So in one particular report, Jon calls our current governor, Jared Polis, a queer with twisted up shorts. Now, Jon was being completely honest. But neither the governor nor his office appreciated the reference. Our previous governor, a guy by the name of Bill Owens, had appointed me to the Colorado State University Board of Governors. Soon, Polis discovered that Jon and I had a friendship. I did not get reappointed for a second term. Most of the crowd tonight are market people, people who understand the livestock trade, people who understand the rub between the buyer and the seller. Hell, it's obvious. Our objectives are completely opposite. The seller wants all he can get, and the buyer wants to save money where and whenever he can. The house gets paid by the seller. Jon Campbell was the house. My family and I own and operate a 35,000 head feed yard in northeastern Colorado. Jon has carried our order at winter for nearly 35 years. Never one time has there been an issue. Jon was paying attention when Ray said, "Be honest and be honorable." It's been an honor to be here tonight and introduce you to the 2025 Hall of Fame inductee, my best and longest friend. Please help me welcome and congratulate Jon Campbell.
also you're going to make some woman a hell of a husband someday. Thank you, Jeff. Anyway, she is also a PhD and a college dean. You start to get the connection. On the other hand, I am in possession of a junior college certificate of participation, and I have perfected the art of shooting coyotes off a runaway pony. You know, when I interviewed with Ray Winter and Jerry Keffler back in 1981, I had worked that summer with an excavating company and saved up enough money to buy my very first pair of ostrich boots and a new straw hat. But they were almost my downfall. First of all, my dad wanted to kill me for spending $35 on a straw hat. And after my interview, Ray Winter told Jerry that by the looks of those boots, I doubt if he's ever worked very hard. But Keffler shot me an offer, and after that, I immediately called my friend Steve Gable, who had recently joined the job market after he'd been fired, and asked what he thought and how his job search was going. He said he had 2 offers on the table, and mine was sure better than the offer he had selling shoes for Payless. But if he would work 5 days a week, half a day on Saturday, driving the beer truck, he could probably make just about as much. But his vote was for me to take the job. So on July 5th of 1981, I got a garden hose and drained my waterbed. I loaded my 5 milk crates that were on permanent loan from Safeway stores into my 1972 $800 Cadillac Eldorado and headed to downtown Swink, Colorado, where the Colonial Apartments would offer you a fully furnished, all utility paid, luxury, 2-bedroom, 1-bath apartment for $110 a month. Several years after I'd worked with Jerry, he told me that he knew the day that he hired me, that I was going to be a long-time employee. I puffed up and I asked him, well, what made him so sure of that? He said, because you didn't have anything, and you sure as hell didn't have anywhere else to go. And he was right. You know, during the drought of 2002, we got a consignment of cattle from east of Colorado Springs that belonged to a doctor that had about as much business owning cattle as I did being a jet airplane pilot. The court had ordered him to sell his cattle, and myself and a new employee at the time took on the job of sorting them. And then it was a hodgepodge of several hundred cattle, and in this group was a big outlaw 4-year-old steer. He had seldom ever seen a human, and he wanted to train wreck you every time he got in the alley. Well, about the 4th time, he put us on the fence. He tried to jump over the bunk, and when he did, he got hung up in the fence. His legs run through one side of the top rail, and he was tied up. Well, we tried prying his legs out, even used a bar to try to get him out. The whole time he was hooking and blowing snot, and I told the guy helping me that I had a sure way of getting him out of there, and I took off to my pickup. Well, I returned with a .357 pistol and shot him right in the head. I immediately told the shocked new recruit that if any of this ever got out, I would deny it, I would fire him, and swear that he showed up to work drunk, waving a pistol around and let a shot go off and kill that steer. Well, we paid the customer for the steer, and luckily I sold cattle for the regional Hartford insurance adjuster, and there was never any inquiry. However, he did admit that I was the only person on an insurance claim form that under cause of death to list assisted suicide. You know, it's difficult to stand up here and to tell everyone about your accomplishments, but
probably the most rewarding part of the entire evening to me is to be able to publicly recognize and thank all the people that have made it possible. You know, I was up in South Dakota one time, and Herman Shoemaker told me that in your entire career, you'll be extremely fortunate if you're able to hire and retain just one-star employee. Well, I've beaten the odds, and I've hired two. They're both with me here tonight. Barbara Ricken, who has served Winter Livestock and its customers. She's served Winter Livestock and our customers for over 30 years. She is every customer and every employee's favorite person at Winter Livestock. Her skill set in office management and customer relations are second to none. Barb has ran interference for me and has an extensive list of excuses that she's used on my behalf. And she has shielded me from every banker, lawyer, P&S regulator, calendar salesman, workman's comp auditor, donation seeker, computer programmer, and irate buyers and sellers. Every one of them wanting money or a piece of my rear end. Not a single soul has been able to penetrate the Barbara barrier. On top of all of that, the Ricken family is in its fourth generation of starting calves and feeding cattle with Winter Livestock. Myself and Winter Livestock, Barbara, owe you and your family a huge amount of respect and gratitude. Thank you. You know, I was so excited to call Ray Winter about a new man I just hired. I said, Ray, I found a superstar. I said, this Kenneth Lewis is smart. He is a college grad. He's tougher than hell, a hard worker, honest, born and raised in our area. Ray says, well, that's nice, John. What does he do? I said, Ray, he is a PRCA cowboy. The phone goes dead. Ray said, he's a what? I said, a bulldogger and a damn good one, been in the top 5 in the world 2 or 3 times. He said, oh no, John. Those rodeo guys leave on Thursday. They drive all day Friday, rodeo Saturday and Sunday, spend all day Monday driving home. He'll be lucky if he makes it back for the Tuesday sale. I said, nope, not this guy. Sold his house, hung it up, cold turkey. Going to marry a great lady from California and buy a place south of town, down at Higbee. He said, well, I hope he does, and I hope you're right this time. Well, he did, and I was. Kenneth Lewis is not only smarter, some say even better looking than I am, but he will work circles around everyone, and he's assembled the best crew we've ever had at Winter Livestock. Thank you, Kenneth. You know, if I have any advice about business management, it would be the same as choosing a wife. Find someone that's smarter, harder working, and more committed than you are. In business, when you retire or die, you've done your job well if your employees and customers don't notice your absence. Don't put yourself up on a pedestal and then hope your ego tells the world that you can never be replaced. I'd like to congratulate all of tonight's inductees that are present and pay tribute to those no longer with us. Special thanks certainly go out to all of my friends, customers, cattle partners, and all my hunting buddies that have made the long trip to Dodge City. Special thanks to Mark McKinley. He is all of the above, and he's never missed a year in 40-some years selling cattle with me. Thanks, Mark. I want to thank my wife, who I had dedicated 2 entire pages to, but she made me take them out. Thank you, sweetie. I love you, and it's sad to think that at my funeral you will receive no condolences. Because for over 40 years of introductions, everyone's first words are, "I sure feel sorry for you." I want to thank my kids, Colin and Marissa, whom, according to the book, I raised completely wrong. Because besides being my kids, they're 2 of my very best friends. Both have achieved individual success and notoriety growing up that I've only dreamed of. You know, I guess I'm officially old school because I remember the horse that I rode in on. And when climbing the success ladder, I'll never forget who bought and paid for the ladder. Winter family, thank you. Especially Mark and Brian, whose father must have said, "Take care of old John," because he still doesn't have anywhere else to go. In closing, I've tried to imagine the Hall of Fame selection process. What characteristics and credentials would the committee deem necessary? One would have to assume that most of the present and past inductees share many common traits. I would say that most are type A personalities, self-starters. They're smart, high energy, high maintenance people that probably smoked a few cigarettes in life. They'd have to be excellent judges of people and cattle values, hard workers, and probably, due to stress, even drank a little whiskey from time to time. All of these men are worthy, but a few have unmatched credentials. Ray Winter, pioneer, one of the greatest marketing and business minds the industry has ever known. Jackie Moore, owner, operator of the single largest cattle market in the world. Guys like Pat Goggins, Pay's Auction, Western Livestock Journal, Vermilion Ranch, and Northern Video. And you've all been exposed and know so well Ellington Peek, Shasta Livestock, Western Video, 97 years young, and the undisputed King of California. As for my credentials, I owe a special thanks to that lone voice in the back of the room, a man who understandably prefers to remain anonymous. And I am convinced that his nomination speech would have gone something like this. Members of the committee, just a thought. Why don't we just this once select someone controversial, an outspoken wild card, someone way out on the edge? Mr. Chairman, I nominate John Campbell. Now, here's a guy that most likely only has one, or maybe two. Of the traits shared by our elite group of inductees. I know he's never built a market from the ground up, never owned a market. He has no vision of a marketing empire. In fact, not only does he not have any vision, but he's completely deaf in one ear and can't hear out of the other. But I would challenge this committee to name anyone who, in fits of genuine marketing passion, has thrown more phones, monitors, or computer keyboards into a sales ring, and on several occasions even attempted a backflip out of the auction block just to get another 25 cents a hundred. I realize his persona and enormous mouth has written several checks that his ass cannot cash. And I have no doubt if the state of Colorado state vet, governor, or his appointees have found much humor in any of his comments. But aren't we all guilty of being a little outspoken? I realize also that being permanently banned from the Scottish Highlander, Belted Galloway, and North American Corriente Breed Associations are a couple strikes against him. And being on the NCBA, APHIS, Beef Checkoff, and the New Mexico Brand Board list of undesirables may not set well with some committee members. But most customers seem to really like him. And he's a hell of a lot of fun to watch. So with all of that, I move nominations cease and say, what the hell? Let's put him in there. Folks, I am overwhelmed by the people that have traveled at such a great distance to come help induct me into this Marketing Hall of Fame. People from California, Joplin, everywhere. I'm certainly humbled. And Winter family, you know what I think of you. Thank you so very much. You're so gracious. And all of you, I apologize this has taken so long. I realize every man has 15 minutes of fame, and I've just used 16 of mine. Folks, thank you so very much. I appreciate it.
Well, now I know why he told me not to mess with the stuff in the podium. Leave it right there for him. Congratulations again. What a special night this has been. I was just thinking, with Ellington being 97 years young, one of the teams at the Open this last week, their combined ages, 172 years old. And I just really think it's the cowboy way to continue doing what you love. And it's so cool to get to hear all the stories tonight. Thank you all for being here with us this evening to honor and celebrate the accomplishments of these incredible men. Congratulations again to the class of 2025. Special thank you to the Winter family and everyone else who helps make all of this possible. Let's give one more round of applause to everyone, and thank you all so much for being here. As you all enjoy the rest of your evening, we do have photographers here if you would like photos, and we would love to have all of the inductees come up to the stage to get a photo together as well. I was like, just waiting for the alarm.